everyone, welcome back to Garden and Grub. My name is Mariana and I want to just say thank you for visiting today. I'm going to show you my super easy pickling recipe with cucumbers that you can do. It's super beginner friendly and it's super easy to remember. If you can remember 2 times 4, so 2, 2, 2, 2, you have the recipe for life. So these are number 1s, which means they are small. They're about the size of your finger. And I just got this size because this is my daughter's favorite size. She likes the small pickles. I don't mind any size pickles, big pickles, little pickles. It doesn't really matter to me, but she likes the little ones. So these are number 1s and it's just a small bushel. And we're gonna pickle these. But first, what I do is I wash them and then I put them in the refrigerator. So I wash them, let them soak in water, and I put them in the refrigerator and they get really nice and crisp. Because when you get them from the farmer's market, this one's nice and crisp, but they can be a little soft, and I just want them to get crisp up. And it makes really nice crispy pickles. So there you have it. I'm just gonna wash these because they just came from the farmer's market today, so they're a little dirty, sandy. So I'm gonna give these a good wash and I'm gonna put these in the refrigerator, and I'll see you tomorrow morning and we're gonna pickle them together. Okay, so stay tuned. See you tomorrow. So welcome back. This is the next day. I've soaked my pickles. I got some back there in water and I refrigerated them. So I'm just going to drain these out. Now what we want to do to prep them, you could do this the day before, but I prefer to do it when they're clean, is, let me give you an example, is you're going to remove, this is the stem end where it was attached to the plant, that's the blossom end. So the blossom end is usually paler in comparison to the stem end. So for example, this one doesn't have a stem to tell you, but it's darker than the pale end. So what you're going to do is remove just a tiny bit of the blossom end, like that. Just a tiny bit. I barely took any off there. And that's because the blossom end contains an enzyme that could make your pickles soft. Okay, so they have all been trimmed. Oh, heavy. A good thing to do is as you're trimming the blossom ends off, so the little end, as you trim those off, it's a good time to inspect them and also rewash them, because these grow sprawled on the ground and they can be quite dirty. So if you buy them farmed, or if you have them in your garden, they might be a little bit cleaner because most people trellis them. But it's a great time to go through them and inspect them to make sure you got all nice ones and they're clean. And I always give them a rewash. And because of that, look how many ones that I found that weren't good. Because the first day you just kind of rummage quickly through it, put them in, wash, and then you give them a closer look when you're trimming. Now what I mean is like pickles like this, this is clearly not good inside, so not use that. I'll give you a couple more examples. I don't want to use this one. You want good quality. This one is kind of squishy on the top. So as you're going through them, you can give a closer look to see which ones are good and which aren't. Also, when you're trimming, you only want to take give you an example again, a little bit off, like very little bit of the end. You don't need to cut this much off. My son was helping me. So what he did, which they're still fine to eat, is he cut off the whole. When I described about the light end being the blossom end, he just cut off the whole blossom end. But that's fine. These are still fine. I appreciate the help regardless. So now that these are washed, I'm going to show you my super easy pickling brine and recipe. And stay tuned, watch the whole video, because I have tips to make your pickles crispy and not soggy soft pickles, because you want a nice crunchy crisp dill pickle. All you need for my 2-2-2-2 method recipe is 2 cups of vinegar, 2 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of pickling salt, and for sweet pickles, 2 tablespoons of sugar. If you just want regular garlic dills, you can omit the sugar. So you can scale this up or down depending how much brine you need and the amount of pickles that you have. So you can half this recipe or quadruple this recipe. Some additional add-ons that you might want to consider are pickling spice, pickle crisp. These are all optional. Pickling spice, pickle crisp, garlic if you like garlic dills, or chili flakes if you like spicy dills. Feel free to use any sorts of spices that you like mustard seed, coriander seed, but usually the pickling spice already has it inside. Now I'll give you some alternatives to the pickle crisp when we get to that portion. Now for the add-in part. You can use garlic, pickling spice, which has everything you need in it, one-stop shop. You can use dried dill, fresh dill, dill seed, chili flakes if you like it a little spicy, and pickle crisp. All optional ingredients. You can put them in the brine and then just scoop it out into your jars when it's time to fill them. The only issue that I have with that is some jars get more seasoning than others and it's not consistent. So what you could do is strain it out if you're someone that doesn't like all of those ingredients inside the jar. You could strain out the brine and then just collect the brine, and then all these little add-ins can be discarded. Or what I do, I don't mind it inside the jar. I'll just put them directly in the jar so I can keep the flavor consistent throughout all of the jars that I make. My 2-2-2-2 in here. I'm going to bring this up to a boil so that the salt dissolves. Everything gets mixed together, and once that's hot, I can use that to fill the jars with the pickles. So in my jars, these have been washed in hot soapy water, and you can keep them warm inside your oven. I'll put the information here. You can put these in a water bath of boiling water, or you can do that in your dishwasher, because most dishwashers does have a sanitize cycle. I prefer to put my ingredients directly in the jar because I think it looks pretty and I think it tastes lovely. So I am going to put dill sprig in this jar. I'm gonna put a little garlic because I like garlic dills. If you don't like garlic, it's optional. You don't have to add it. It's not a problem. So because this is a 500 ml jar or a half pint, I'm gonna put a half a teaspoon of garlic in there, dehydrated garlic. And I'm gonna put a half a teaspoon of pickling spice. It's got mustard seeds, it's got all kinds of, it actually has dill in it as well. So you don't need to actually put the dill in if you're using pickling spice, but I like dilly pickles, so I'm using the dill. And pickle crisp is optional. It's calcium, I believe it's calcium chloride. And that just helps to keep the pickles firm. So that's one tip. I'll give you some alternatives at the end. I just want to show you this process. So it is 1/8 of a teaspoon, which I'm going to eyeball, per half pint, or 1/4 teaspoon for a liter jar per quart. Sorry, I get my US things mixed up. So an 1/8 of a teaspoon per pint, and a 1/4 teaspoon for a quart jar, which in Canada it's the 1,000 ml jar is the quart, and the 500 ml jar is the pint. I don't put any hot pepper in it because I'm a hot pepper wimp. So I'm just going to fill these nice and tightly. Just fill up your jar, fit them all in. You can fit more in a quart. You can probably fit some sideways, but you kind of want your pickles to be below this line here because you want them to be fully submerged by the brine. So I'm going to start filling the rest of these. Now that it's come to a rolling boil, we're going to fill these jars. Now, this is just a funnel so I don't make a mess. They do make special funnels for canning, but it's downstairs and I don't want to go get it. So I'm just going to pour this in. Just want to show you. Up to there, make sure all your pickles are submerged. Some lids do not require you to boil them, just wash them in hot water, which is this brand here. But read the packet of your canning lids and it will tell you. So we're going to put a clean washed lid and a ring that goes fingertip tight. So don't crank on it too hard, just fingertip tight. The reason why you don't want to crank these too hard is because it doesn't allow the lid, center lid needs to lift up a little bit to allow the air to escape and to create a vacuum when it's cooled. If it's too tight, all you're doing is trapping in the air inside the jar and the lid can buckle. Now, if you've added sugar to your brine, you're going to want to take a wet cloth and just wipe at the rim, just so it's not sticky and create a false seal. A false seal is when it really doesn't seal properly, but it's only sealed because something stuck to it. And fingertip tight. There. I went to go get my proper canning funnel. Looks like that. You can do it without a funnel, but it just gets messy, and this just keeps it clean. You don't spill everywhere. Now for a canning pot, you don't need fancy canning equipment. As long as you have a large enough pot to cover the jars by 1 inch to 2 inches, you're all good to go. Always a good idea to have a kettle on standby in case you haven't put enough water. You can see the water is simmering away. Now the temperature of the liquid, the liquid or product inside your jar should be close to the temperature of the water that you have here. Because if there's too much of a drastic temperature change, you can shock the jar and it could crack. Now once this comes back up to a boil, we will time this for 10 minutes for pints, 15 minutes for quarts. Now once cooled, your jars are shelf stable. Now if you just want to try the recipe, or heck, you just don't want to do canning, you could skip the canning process altogether, do all the same steps except for water bathing, and then just stick this jar in the fridge. Brine works for cucumbers, beans, carrots, onions, pepper, whatever you want to pickle. It is very versatile. So that's it. It's the 2-2-2-2 pickle brine recipe. It's simple, it's flexible, and it's perfect for any batch size. A small batch or large batch, no problem at all. Now, just like I promised, I'm going to give you tips on the getting crispy pickles, because getting that perfect crunchy pickle is the dream for home canners. But it takes a few specific steps, since heat processing can soften the pickles. So here are some tried and true tips for you today. First, you're going to start with the right cucumbers. Use pickling cucumbers that are specified for pickling, like Kirby, Boston pickling, national, or homemade pickling varieties. Avoid the long slicing cucumbers and those salad cucumbers that you get at the store, those big ones. They have thinner skin and more water, which leads to mushy pickles. So get the pickling pickles. Pick cucumbers that are small, firm, and freshly picked. If you're at a grocery store, they're going to be fresh. If you're at home, that's fine. Prep correctly. Trim the last little bit, like I showed you, of the blossom end, the opposite side of the stem. That blossom end has enzymes that causes softening. Soak your cucumbers in ice water, like I mentioned, for about 6 hours before canning them. That helps them to firm up. You could leave them 24 hours. Now use the right vinegar strength as well. When you're canning, you want to use a 5% acidity vinegar only, not homemade vinegar. You need to use 5% vinegar. Now, as promised, I'm going to give you some tips on how to get your pickles nice and crispy. You can add grape leaves, cherry leaves, or even oak leaves to the jars, because these contain tannins, and that helps keeps your pickles crisp. Or you could use pickle crisp. Actually, it's calcium chloride, and it's a safe, modern alternative that maintains the crunch without affecting the flavor. Now, your processing method. Use a water bath canner, not a pressure canner, because it's too hot and too much pressure is gonna turn your pickles mushy. Now, don't over process them. 10 minutes for pints and 15 minutes for the quarts, and adjust for your altitude. Now, pack cucumbers snugly so they don't float like mine did. Do your best. It's kind of hard to fit them all the same. And an extra tip, avoid table salt. It has anti-caking agents that can cloud your brine. Now use pickling salt or even kosher salt. That works really well. Now use soft water. If you have hard water, and you don't have a water softener, go ahead and use bottled water, because that can make, the minerals can make your pickles mushy. Now keep your jars upright after processing. Don't tilt them, because that could break their seal, and that's going to affect the ability to preserve them on your shelf. Now, store your pickles for at least 2 to 4 weeks before you decide to crack open and taste them, because this allows the full flavor and all that crispiness to develop. Now, if you want a shortcut, use Pickle Crisp, the ball brand. It's the easiest and most reliable way to guarantee that crunch. Now let me know in the comments below, what veggie would you pickle first? Cucumbers, carrots, cauliflower, or a mix like a giardiniera? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more garden to table recipes. Thanks so much, friends, for watching today. I appreciate your time, and I hope you learned something. I hope you try this pickle recipe. Take care. Bye, friends. See you next time.